All right, good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I'm going to put into the chat one more time today's link to sign in to the session. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a minute to do that. Today we are going to be getting ready for the certification of G Suite or level 1 certification of Google. It is session 2, which is the Google Slides workshop, and I do want this to kind of like last week. This is going to be a workshop in the sense of I'm going to kind of provide you with some study material, for lack of a better term, and that study material will closely follow the expectations that you would have on that level 1 certification. So last week we went over Google Documents, and this week we will go over Google Slides. If you weren't here last week, that's okay. I hope we can get you caught up at least with where to go to get some more information. Okay, so let me switch my presenting and let's get started. I am going to put into the chat one more time the link to sign in, and yeah, let's get going. So again, today we're going over the Slides workshop. What I think is best to do to deliver some content to you is to provide you with the class code, and I'm also going to put this into the chat. The link that you can click on to join the Let's Get Certified classroom. So if you did not join us last week, or if you did not join that classroom, I encourage you to go ahead and click in the link that we just put on that I just put inside of the chat, and that will get you enrolled and get you started on getting the material that we're going to be doing. Just like last week, there was a list of tasks to complete, and if you were able to complete those tasks, if you're able to do each one of those things, you are more than prepared for the level 1 exam. And I think that today we're going to be following again that same protocol, and we'll go from there. If you need me to come back to this, actually you won't need me to come back to this because I did put it into the chat for you to join the classroom. I'm just going to kind of quickly go over a couple things that we discussed last week. You know, reasons to get certified. One, just to develop expertise with what you're teaching. But this might be, you know, a way to better your teaching as a whole, of making a more student-centered classroom. There's a lot of different reasons. 10 are on the screen right now, but there's a lot of different reasons to get certified. And I do encourage each one of you, whenever we complete this, to go ahead and sign up for the test. I did make sure, by the way, with Ms. Herval, that we do still have the opportunity for the district to pay back any. And it might actually be prior to, there might be a code. And so if you are ready to take the level 1 certification test, make sure that you reach out to either me, or you can reach out to Ms. Herval at the central office, and they will let you know how to make sure that you get paid or compensated for that. No, Ashley, in fact, I'll go over the test one more time here on these last few slides. But I do want to point out that the level 1 status just indicates that you are able to implement any part of G Suite into your teaching, and that you're able to enhance your teaching. Again, we're not overhauling the way you teach. We're just making sure that the tools that are given to you are being used in a manner that will help the students inside of your classroom. And I like to come over to this a lot. The SAMR model of teaching of technology integration. If you are at a substitution, that's not a bad place to be. But we do want to, just like we want to push our students into, you know, deeper understandings of their learning, we want to push ourselves into deeper understandings of the way that we're teaching. And so keep this model in mind as we are working. One more thing that I did want to discuss, just because it is kind of a push from top down in the district of these just-in-time interventions. Obviously, we're not going over any interventions today, but just as a push, that when we are discussing implementing these new ideas into our classroom, we want to make sure that we are doing it with the idea that nothing is just going to get pushed out. Nothing is going to get put back at the end of the year that we just forget about. It should be just like the model shows us, implemented throughout the school year and layered into the classroom so that it just doesn't take over the aspects of what's going on in the class. So I showed this last week, and I'll show it one more time. If we are going a little bit too quickly for you, that's okay. Here is a link that you can use at the bottom. This spreadsheet, excuse me, this presentation has also been made available inside of the Google Classroom that you can click on the link that I will link one more time into the chat. And so if we're going a little bit too quickly for you, then feel free to take a look at this teaching center, and it breaks it down just a little bit more in smaller chunks, I guess. And it's going to take you quite a bit longer to complete than a 1 hour classroom class that we're doing here. But it's going to give you all the things that you might need. On the reverse side of that, if you think that we are going a little bit too slowly for your liking and you want to take that quiz a little bit more quickly, I encourage you to check out the Eric Kurtz skills checklist. I'm taking what he's doing. I'm kind of pulling it from a different few areas, and including just the memory that I have of whenever I took the level 1 test. And so, but if you want to take a look at his and just kind of get through it as quickly as you can, then that is okay. To answer your question, Ashley, the certification, you are going to be given a few different questions, some of which are like multiple choice, like this one, where you're asked to take a look at the tools that are available to you, and you might try to figure out the best tool to use in a certain teaching, given a certain scenario. Likewise, you might be asked to match up the feature or the tool with what benefit it may have inside of the classroom. And so like this one is a drag and drop question. But the test is broken up into two parts. There's the multiple choice and the short answer and the drop box. But then there's the actual where you jump into the environment. And so what they do is they set you off into your own personal G Suite environment with classrooms and YouTube videos and all sorts of stuff, and you have to maneuver your way through. So it's not given like a sheet like mine is, but you're given a list of tasks like you see on the screen. You're expected to do those tasks. So it's very, very close to what I'm doing, although not exactly the same way. And the last slide that I have right here is just the cost of this. But again, we should be able to, as a district, be able to help with this. You must have a webcam enabled, so you can't use my personal laptop that doesn't have a webcam working right now. But again, we'll get to this as we get a little bit closer. So I think that covers what the beginning, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the Google Slides. So one more time, if you could please head over to the Let's Get Certified Classroom. And I have it open here. You can see that at 1:55 p.m. I posted a new assignment called Let's Get Certified Google Slides task sheet, excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and click on the classwork page here and click on this task sheet. And it's going to open it up here. I'm going to make a copy just to make sure that I am not writing over on anything. So if you want to go ahead and open this up as well, this is what you're going to see. And this is just like an assignment that you would give to your students. You can write on this. You can make notes on this. This is not going to be anything that I take a look at in any way. If you ask me a question on it, I'd be happy to give you an answer. But I'm not going to be grading this in any way. I'm not going to be taking a look at it, so you can write what a horrible presenter I am, and I'll never see it, I guess. So we're going to go ahead and jump in though. So again, these are the list of the tasks that are available, and we're going to do the first one together, and then after that I'm going to give you 15 minutes. That's what we did last week, and I think it worked out. I'm going to give you 15 minutes to work through this as best you can, If you come to a part where you just don't understand how to do it, skip it and then go to the next few. Very few of these rely on each other, so you can just completely skip it and then work through the various tools and options while you're waiting for that time. So again, we're going to have 15 minutes, but the very first thing that you probably need to understand before you do anything else is that there are 3 ways to create a Google Slides presentation. The first way is to head over to your Drive. So I'm going to open up a new tab and I'm going to go to drive.google.com. And at the top left, I see the plus symbol with the word new. So I'm going to click on that. And for today, since we're working with Google Slides, I'm going to click on this button. Although I do have the option to hover over this right arrow, and I can either choose a blank presentation, which is what happens whenever you just click on Google Slides, or I can click on a template if I wanted to. There are a few templates that are provided by Google. There is possibly some that's created by the district, although I don't know if we have any for slides that you can pick from. But I am just going to click a blank presentation by clicking the Google Slides button right here. And so I am ready to get started on my my task list. But that is only one way to start your presentation. So again, there are 2 more ways, at least 2 more ways. There might even be more. The other thing that you can do is you can go to slides.google.com. And just as a tip, you can put the Google tool. So for example, Slides or Docs or Sheets, .google.com, and it will take you straight there. And what this does is it kind of breaks up your Google Drive into only the program that is listed. So here are only Google Slides presentations, and you can see all of them. And you can see that I've done a lot of Pear Deck that got added. And you can separate this further by doing, by clicking on here and making sure that you're owning by only a few people. You can organize them in different ways, but we are just wanting to create a new spreadsheet today, or a presentation, excuse me. And so on the bottom right, I can click the create new presentation, and just like I could do before, I can click the choose the template if that's something that I was inclined to do. But again, I'm just going to click, actually I'm not going to have to click it because I already created a new one, but I have this button here that I would press to create a new one, a new presentation. And lastly, the last way you can do this, and this is the one that I use the most frequently because you can just go straight there, is you can go into your URL and just click, just type in slides.new. Slides.new. And if you type slides.new and push enter, a brand new document will be created for you. And so those are the 3 different ways to create your presentation. After you have your presentation created, I'm going to go ahead and again, I'm going to start the time. We are about at 2:15, so we're going to come back together at 2:30. I will be in this room, so if you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask. But again, this is just some work time for you. So if you get to a point, maybe you're not sure how to do this item on slide 2, then skip it. Go to slide 3 and start working on that. Do as many of the things as you can, and at 2:30 we'll come back together and I will show you step by step how to do these items. Okay. So are there any questions before we start working? Right. Well, I'm putting the link to sign in one more time if you did not sign in. I'm also putting the link to the classroom if you would like to join our classroom. And I'm going to be quiet and let you guys start working on your tasks. Again, ask any questions that come up along the way, okay? Hey Tiffany, what do you mean by flag function? I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. Like I was playing with it, where it like messes with the oh, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. Where it makes it like arch where it's curved, the words are curved, or they're wavy like the flag pattern. Do you know what I'm talking about? I only got one place in the short world. It's called No, my dogs are barking.
I'm sorry, Tiffany, I didn't see your messages. Yes, I did hear you, and it doesn't look like it's exactly possible the same way. And I'm looking at some older ones. It looks like slides has been changed since what I'm reading was it's been updated since what I am reading was created. So I'm trying to figure out if it's still possible. But let me keep looking around. Tiffany, it does not look like it's possible any longer. And even whenever it was possible, it's probably because it wasn't very good. So no, I don't believe it's possible directly in slides. It really wants you, it seems like, to work with, you're not missing it. No, it seems like it wants you to work with Google Drawings a little bit with that. But I don't even know if that features in Google Drawings either. I know we're going to be doing a Google Drawings session in a few weeks, but so we'll take a look a little bit more at it. But no, I don't think you're missing anything. All right, 15 minutes is up. It is 2:30, so I'm going to go ahead and just start working through doing these and kind of explain as we go along. If you get to a point where you are not, following along with what I'm doing, or if I'm just not making too much sense, which probably happens way more often than it should, feel free to just stop me, type into the chat. I'll try to keep an eye on that. And we'll kind of go from there. So here we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and paste in the 3 different ways to create your Google Docs. I'm also just going to show this off. This is the bulleting that is inside of Google Docs. And so I'm just going to right click on them and put a check mark there just to keep track with everything that we're doing. So here we go. Okay, it says create a slides presentation and name it Google Slides task sheet with your name. And so I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to go into my presentation and I'm going to change the title, the name of the document up here on the top right. And so I'm going to right click and paste that in there and then rename this so that it is correct. And so that is the first thing that I needed to do there. So let me go ahead and check that off. The next thing I need to do is to share this Google Slides document. And just like in Google Docs, Google Slides works the same way. There is a share button at the top right of the page. So I'm going to click on that share button and I'm given the option, 2 different options here. The first thing is that I can type in someone's name and share it directly with them, which is what I need to do first. So I'm going to type in Cave Teacher at carlsbadschools.net, and this came up right there, so I'm going to do that. I can send an email message and notify that person, although for this I don't need to do that. But what I do need to do is just to make sure that this is set correctly. I am letting this Cave Teacher have edit privileges to this document, and so I'm going to go ahead and keep that there, which is what I wanted to do. And so I'm going to click share, and it is going to share that document with Cave Teacher. And then the second thing I needed to do was that I needed to share this openly with the world, right? And so I'm going to go back into my share settings, and now you see that Cave Teacher is an editor. If I wanted to remove Cave Teacher, by the way, as an editor, I can click on that, and I can remove them entirely. I can even make them the owner, or I can change this to give them only temporary access. I wish this temporary access option was given when you first invite them to the document, but alas, that is not an option that's given right away. But you can change this to be view only, commenter, and editor, and removing as well. But what I need to do down here, and whenever I click on this, you can see it open up and give me more options. I am going to make this available for anyone. So right now it's just restricted to me and Cave Teacher, but I want anyone with the link, and I'm going to double check this. I want them to be given view only access this time. And so I'm going to click done. Now, before I click done, if I were actually sharing this link with anyone, I would want to copy this link to be able to share it within a document or share it in an email or a message. But since I'm not doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and click done. Let me go back over to here and go ahead and mark that that is complete as well. The next thing I needed to do was to insert a word art title on the title slide. So again, in a lot of ways, Google Slides is Microsoft PowerPoint. It's just missing a lot of things that you might be used to seeing. And so, yeah, as I just found out a little bit more, the word art is one of those things. But you can still insert a word art that is word art in name only, I guess. And I'm going to do that by clicking on the insert button here at the top of the page. And I'm going to go down to word art. Now what this does is it gives me a pop-up that allows me to type something in. And so I'm just going to type in hello world. And I'm going to push enter. And there is my, delete that. There we go. Now, if I wanted to edit this in any way, you can see up at the top, whenever I click on this, I'm given the format options button, and I can change certain things like the size and location, the angle at which it's presented. I can do some basic stuff. I can also drag it from here and make those changes directly on this. But again, it's fairly limited compared to what Microsoft PowerPoint, as an example, would provide with that. Okay, so that one is my next thing that I need to put a check mark next to. All right, so now I need to add 4 more slides. So to add 4 more slides, I have a few different options. If I come over here, I can right-click on this blank area, and I can click New Slide right here. So that's one way I can bring in a new slide, but I'm also given a plus button right here that I can also click to get a new slide as well. So there's a couple different ways to do that. If you want to be very particular with the slides that you're bringing in, there is a down arrow, and you can pick any different slide layout that is available to you as well. But if you bring in the wrong slide layout, you can always just change that slide layout later on as well. So there's no harm, no foul. So I needed to add 4 slides, so I went ahead and did that right there. So let me put my next check mark. I'm going to stop right here. Are there any questions before we move on? Speak now or
yeah,
wait?
I have a question real quick.
Sure.
When we are doing the that little bullet point that you put where it says like share with the world or something, but only give them view access.
Correct.
What's the difference between how you did it and going to file, publish to the web?
So publishing to the web, I don't publish to the web very often. And usually what publishing to the web is doing is you're putting a static copy of that document on the page. And usually you're doing that because you're wanting to make it on a website that is either embedded, which actually is one of the options. So I'm going to come over here to publish to the web, and here if I embed this and click publish, it's going to give me the code for this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and so I can put this code into a web page that I'm creating, and that's how I've always used this. You also get rid of, if I were just to give the link, you also get rid of all of the buttons that go along with it. So let me open this up into a new document and kind of show what that looks like. It looks like a PowerPoint that's in presentation mode. And so there's no buttons for them to look at. So it's a different look. As where when you share it with them and you give them view only access, they're able to see all of these buttons. They just can't do anything to change it. So it's just the way that it looks on the other end on how much information they're given, I guess. With going this route, you can hide a lot of the information from them that you might not want them to see, like the speaker notes, just as an example. You can hide, what colors you're using and so forth and so on. If you're using boxes on here with links, then instead of clicking on them and being taken to a different spot, they would be able to click on them directly. So there's just like little bitty differences like that, but I mean, it is a big change in the way that it looks. Okay, let me look at the next one. Okay, it says on slide 2. So I'm going to go ahead and click on slide 2. And it says that I need to insert an image of your favorite Google tool. So to insert any images, of course, you can just like do a Google search outside of the program. But what I really like about really all of the Google suite is that you don't have to leave the program to get any of this done. So I'm going to click on insert, and I'm going to click on image. And I don't have an image of a Google tool, so I'm going to search on the web. And I am going to search for Google Keep. I love Google Keep. It is my favorite tool. And so here is an image of the logo for Google Keep. So I'm going to click on it and insert. So there's my image. Now it's a little too big, so I can resize it by dragging and dropping. I can also rotate it, I can also rotate it using the button right over here. But the next item on my list says that I need to crop this. Now I can crop it in 2 different ways. I can double click on it, and you see how the boxes changed right there from being a blue outline to a black outline. Now I can crop this by doing that. Or I'm going to kind of click away from it, or I can crop it by clicking right over here that says crop image. And whenever I click on that, it's going to look the same way that I did before. And then I believe I can also click format and crop here, although it might not be able to anymore. Let me just look around. No, it doesn't look like you can crop from there anymore. So 2 ways to do it. You can either double click on it or use the toolbar up here at the top to click the crop image. You can also mask the image as well. This is not on the Google, or at least it wasn't on the Google test that I took, but maybe you want to mask it in this way, where you put make it into a lightning bolt, and you have the image behind it that only comes through on that on the picture, which looks pretty cool with some things that you're doing. I don't know if it looks great on the one that I've done right there, but you can do that by clicking the down arrow right there to give yourself a little bit more options available to you, I guess. Okay, and then I was supposed to crop this to make it smaller, so I'm just going to double click, and I'm going to crop it to, let's say, right there, and I'm going to push enter, and now my image is cropped and a little bit smaller. So let me come over here and put a check mark. Again, feel free to stop me anytime if you have any questions. Don't wait for me to ask. It says also on slide 2, I'm going to edit the speaker notes to include a quick inspirational quote. Now, I don't have a great inspirational quote. Quote from, so inspirational quote. Oh, I did this here. I came out to Google, but I did exactly what I said I didn't need to do, because I can also click on the Explore button right over here on the bottom right. So I'm going to click the Explore button, and I am going to click, I'm going to type in inspirational quote. And so the same results that are here are probably going to be close to the same ones that are given right there. So maybe I want to check this one out, 56 motivational quotes. And so I'm going to click on that. It does open it up in a new page. And here we go. Here's a good Disney quote that I'm going to put in here. Now, my speaker notes are hidden right now because I've dragged them all the way down. So I have to drag them up to get them back. So if they're all the way down, then you just need to drag on the bottom. And I'm going to paste in those speaker notes right there. You can hide speaker notes entirely if that's not something that you use very frequently. And to do that, you can click on the View button and click on the check mark next to Show Speaker Notes, and those speaker notes go away entirely. And if you want them back, you would have to drag them up again. So I very rarely use speaker notes. Maybe I should use them more often, but I don't. And so I usually just hide them, just get them out of the way. Okay, so that is slide number 2. I think we've completed slide number 2. All right, slide number 3, we need to insert a YouTube video of your choice. I actually really, really love inserting videos with Google Slides, and I'll kind of show you why. If I were to send my students into YouTube, they of course have quite a few things along the sidebar that they can click around on and go to places that they really don't need to be going to, right? But if I were to insert this inside of the document itself, it does give me quite a few more options. So I'm going to click on video here. I'm going to click Insert and Video. And I am able to do a search. I can also, if I have the URL directly here, I can put it in. And then if I have a Google Drive video, I can also insert these Google Drive videos. So if you have, as an example, here is your dot and I videos from iStation, right? Or iStation's wrong, iSafe, then you can insert them into the document. But I'm going to go over here into search and Google Slides how to, and we're just going to pick the first one that comes up, how to quick tutorial for Google Slides. So I'm going to select this and go ahead and insert it right there. And what I like is on the right hand side it says we've updated the playback mode for videos, and it's just really nice. You can do quite a few things with it. So maybe you are showing this video into your class. Of course, it says unable to play video, right? That's my look right there. So I won't be able to actually do it right here. But normally, you can change the start and you can change the end time as well. So that you can do all those things with it right there. You can also mute the audio and so forth. But now none of those like extra videos on the side of the page or at the end of the video will show up. And it's only the video that I want to share, only the part of the video that I want to share. So you can take a 20-minute video and really crop it down the way that you would want. So, so I really like using Google Slides for that. All right, so I'm going to put a check mark there. On slide 4, insert an arrow. Let's see, let me go to slide 4, and I need to insert a few things. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of these things by clicking delete, but I can also get rid of these things by changing the layout up here at the top. So I can change this layout to blank, and now those things go away. But I'm going to insert a few different, let's see, one is an arrow. So I'm going to come down here, click on shape, go to arrow. That's one of them. The next one is a rectangle, so I'm going to insert a shape, and here we go. Good rectangle, and I need to insert another shape of my choice. So I'm going to insert shape, and this time we're going to do this fun little thing. All right. I'm going to add text to the rectangle. That's the first thing I need to do. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to double click on it. Okay, so I can click on it right there once. I can double click it to open this up. So I can just put text right there. Now I can format this text in any way, just like I normally would. So I can put it in the middle. I can make it more closer to the top, closer to the bottom. I can color it. Let's see, there we go. I can highlight it. I can do anything that I would normally do to any text. I can do that inside of this, this shape. And if this shape moves, then that text moves as well. So that's that. Let's see, the next part is I need to add a hyperlink to the arrow that goes to the CMS district homepage. So here's our arrow. And there's a couple ways to do this as well. Up here at the top, there is a button that says Insert Link. I can click on that and insert the link there. I can also right-click on the image and click on the link button. And then my favorite is just using the keyboard shortcut. I can click Control and K, Control plus K at the same time, and insert that. So I'm going to put in HTTPS. Let's see, it's www.carlsbadschools.net. And if you haven't seen, we got a new website. So whenever I go to that, I'm going to make sure it works. That doesn't look new. It looks like my my image. I need to get a new. Let's see if I refresh it. Nope, it's not coming up quite for me yet. But we do have a new look to our webpage if you haven't seen it. All right, so and then finally, I can add a comment. I need to add a comment to the last item. So I'm going to click on this button right over here. And again, there's a couple ways to do this. I can click the add comment button over here, and I can say this is a weird shape. And I can do the same comment by clicking the insert button here at the top. So I can click insert, and let's see, there's the comment button. And very weird. I will say this about the level 1 test. There are quite a few questions in there that ask you to comment, and so you're going to need to be familiar with the commenting, how to comment in each one of the programs that they give you along the way. Okay, so let me mark that off my list. I'm on slide 4, and I only got 10 minutes left. So let's get to moving here, I guess. Here we go. On slide 5, so I'm going to come over to slide 5. Change the background to a light to a light gray. So to do that, I'm going to click on the background button that is located at the top of my toolbar, and I'm going to click on the color. I'm going to change it to a light gray. I can also choose an image or reset it back to the original. I can also add it to a theme so that you can create your own themes and kind of use them repeatedly. But I'm going to go ahead and just set that there. To the light gray. Change the layout to tile and 2 columns. So I'm going to click on the layout button here. And again, this gives me the option to change it to however, whatever I would like. I can get rid of them like I did before. But here is the title and 2 columns layout. All right, I'm going to insert my name at the top of this column. And on the left side, the few pros of teaching with technology. Let's see, are there any pros? Have we found any pros teaching this year, or is it just like everything is a mess that I can type in on the right side? Because that's kind of what it feels like right now sometimes, I think. Advance my class into the 21st century. How about that? That sounds very nice, doesn't it? By the way, we are 21 years now into the 21st century, so if we're not there yet, then we're behind the times actually at this point. But yeah, so on the left column, I'm going to go ahead and select all of this because I need to change the color to green. So I'm going to change the text color to a nice green color. I don't know if that's nice, but it's a green anyways. And on the right column, I need to change this over to a red. So I'm going to change it to a red right there. And yes, there are questions like this on the test. They have you work through something like this and change certain things to certain colors as you work through. So there we go. That is slide 5. I think I got everything on there. All right, and so that's the bulk of what you're going to be doing on the program. The rest of the items that are on here are really just items that weren't on the test that I took. Maybe they're there now, but they're definitely things that you probably need to make yourself aware of. And again, the toolbar at the top, the quick tools at the top, I hope we kind of pick up along the way that these tools change as they're needed. So you could call them smart tools in that sense. As an example, I have background, layout, theme, and transition, but as soon as I click on a video, now I have format options and I have the animate button. Same if I click on an image, then these buttons now change that I can crop it or that I can reset it entirely or replace it and so forth. So just become familiar with these and know that they're not static. They will change as you click around in different areas inside of the program. One of the questions that we get a lot about is changing the size of these. So if you are presenting and maybe you have an old presenter, in your class that you want to put it up on the wall or whatever the case is, but it's old and it's only in a 4:3, or if it's in a 16:9, or if it's in a 16:10, or if you just want to completely do something different entirely. There are people who release full ebooks on Google Slides, then you can change that information right up here. So I'm going to click on File, and I'm going to click Page Setup, and I can change this from the 16 by 9 that it currently comes in to a 4 by 3. So this looks like the older this would work in older computers and older presenters, but I can completely change it to anything that I want by clicking custom. So instead of 16 by 10 or whatever the case is, I can maybe click 8.5 by 11 and click apply there. And now this document is the same size as a piece of paper that I could print from. And so you can create newsletters using this and various items like that, just by changing the document width. And then again, I'm doing that by going into the page setup here to do whatever I needed. So I'm going to go back into the 16 by 9. To put it back where it was before. Just like we learned in Google Docs last week, there is a version history, and this is great if you are trying to track who did what inside of class, or track down any plagiarism that goes along with it. I can click on version history and see version history, and I can see every single piece of work that was done on this document. I can see at what time the work was done. I can see who did the work. And so you can see if there's multiple people working, you can, it will highlight the work that they did in green so that you can see that, student A did this, student B did this, student C apparently didn't do anything even though he had his name on the paper. So this is a way to kind of check that stuff out. If you have shared your document with someone and they completely changed the way what they did, and you didn't want it that way, you can also use this to go back to previous versions. If you click restore this version, everything else goes away, all the changes that were made, and you get to go back to your original. So so no one can completely mess up your document if you're the owner of it. Okay. Now I can download individual slides as well, and I do this actually I do this whenever I present different slides inside of the document, inside of, like, at the beginning of the session, I have a picture instead of showing the entire document. And to do that, again, I'm going to go into File, and I'm going to click on hover over the download button, and click any of these bottom three, whether it's PNG, JPEG, or SVG. What SVG is, it is vector graphics. It makes it to where no matter how big your file gets, the image quality doesn't degrade. So if I were to do a JPEG but then stretch it out really big, it's going to look kind of weird. But if I use SVG, it doesn't do that. So so you might want to use that. Let's see, we have the publish to web that I actually won't go over since we kind of talked about it just a little bit before. We also have, let's see, motion and master in the view section. So I'm going to come over here to view, and we do have the ability to do our slide transitions. These are not the same as PowerPoint, but it is an opportunity to add just a little bit more flair. This is fairly newer compared to other, compared to what PowerPoint does. Certainly not as good, but it is available in that way. And similarly, we also have the ability to create master slides so that if you were to click on, for example, where is the one that we just did, the two column. Here we go. The two column, I could actually change this two columns so that it is completely different. So instead of doing it like this, maybe I want it to be number 1 at the beginning. I can change it however I want, and then make my own master slide so that if I ever click on that, it goes in exactly like I wanted it to. So it's just a way to personalize it for the way that you want. So I'm going to undo that because I don't want that to happen on mine. And let's see, insert charts and the Explore tab we already talked about. And so we have just really inserting charts is the last little bit that I wanted to go over. So I'm going to click the insert button. We're not going to talk too much about it. We're going to talk more about it whenever we go into slides. But I did want to point out that if you have graphs that you would like to bring over from Google Sheets, you can bring them in directly from here. So if I click from Sheets here, I will see all the sheets that I have that I maybe have a graph in. Now, not all these have a graph. So if I were to click on this one, nothing's going to get brought over, nothing's going to be available. But if I know that I have graphs created in somewhere else, then I'll be able to bring them in. So we'll talk more about this one as we go into the sheets, okay? And then finally, the accessibility tools, which is under tools right here at the bottom. If you are needing some of these items and you do not use the other programs that the district has purchased, then you can use them right here. So if you have students who are in need of this, then there it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is 2:58. I do have some extra challenges at the bottom. There is a link to some cool add-ons that are available to you, just things to think about as well. But we're not going to spend any time on them this morning. So with that, what I will say is one more time, let me put the link to our sign-in sheet today. And I will also put the link to the classroom. If you've just been following along and not doing any of the tasks, change your mind. Go ahead and join our classroom. Ask any questions that you might have. But again, it's one of those things just like last week. If you can get through all of the tasks that are on that document, you are going to be set for the level 1 test as it relates to this PDF. So if you can do those things that I've presented today, you're going to have no problem at all on the test that you take later. So with that in mind, I am out of things to talk about. And so if you have any questions, I'm going to be hanging out for a few minutes, but you can always ask them here or go into the classroom and ask them there. So thank you guys for being with me today. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week.